What's up, YouTube land? Xano Gaming back with episode number 18 of my F1 2020 My Team series. And here today we are at the Russian Grand Prix. So, around the Sochi Autodrom, around the old Olympic Park. So, this should be hopefully not a dull race as Russia normally is. But as you can see, there is going to be some weather for this Grand Prix. So, that could make this very interesting in terms of how it plays out. So, yeah, we're looking forward to a wet race possibly, which could be quite exciting and really spice it up, as normally this is one of the most boring races on the calendar. So, yeah, hopefully that makes things a lot more interesting. And we'll now move into qualifying, where we're hoping to... I've turned the difficulty up for this race, as I felt like my performance compared to the AI was really strong in the last three rounds, and especially in Singapore, in Q2 we were the third fastest car, which probably isn't where our car is. We should be struggling to get at a Q1. So I've turned the difficulty up a little bit here today, not completely to 110, just to 107. So not quite to my 110 goal yet, but I really do want to eventually get there. And hopefully I can keep improving at the game. So anyway, moving on now to the first lap in qualifying. As you can see, not as comfortable being behind Raikkonen, and now this is the second lap. You can see from our first lap we're behind the two Haas cars, ahead of our teammate in the two Williams cars. So we'll now move here into our lap as we come down to turn one. We're already a little bit down, but braking at around the 100-meter board, we actually smacked the wall on the outside there, trying to open up the angle of the corner, so that's not ideal. As we now come through turn 3, and we did actually damage the front wings slightly, so that's not ideal either. But now coming through, that's actually turn 5, not turn 3. I forget the corner numbers are all weird here, so that's turn 6. You can see running very wide, struggling with a bit of understeer on the front of the car, which isn't ideal. As now we come through the fast right-hander and now into the left-hander, and we can see that Magnussen has gone ahead of his teammate Grosjean. So we now open the DRS. We're just ahead on our time so far, coming here into sector 3 as Schumacher goes faster than our original time. So we definitely need to improve here. We're going as deep as I dare and probably losing a bit of time. The car's just not got the same grip with the understeering front wing, and I'm not gaining the reward of the rubbered in track as we rev the wheel spin up out of the third to last corner, now through the penultimate corner. Can we find a few tenths here possibly to get out of Q1 as we come across the line, and we spin across the line, and that's 19th place. So we haven't improved, unfortunately. So I don't scroll down here, but it is what it is. 14th place. What I've decided, 19th place. What I've decided to do, I'll put in as Jeff explained, we're taking grid penalties. So
one and all to today's Grand Prix here in southern Russia, a beautiful location besides the Black Sea, and a race that has been dominated so far by the Silver Arrows. Mercedes have won here 6 times in a row since the first Sochi Grand Prix in 2014. Can someone else muscle in on that record here today? Well, it's certainly not the best weather out on the Sochi street circuit today. A track that boasts 18 corners, 12 to the right and 6 to the left. And it's a track that combines both fast corners and long straights, resulting in speeds of excess of 200 miles an hour. But with these conditions, I wouldn't be surprised if we see a safety car out there today. And as always, a man with plenty of racing experience joins me in the commentary box. Today it's Anthony Davidson. Tell me, Ant, you're no stranger to surviving the melee of turn 1. So how do you keep out of trouble when there's so much going on around you?
There are 3 main things to worry about there, Crofty: positioning, awareness and discipline. First, you have to put your car in a bit of space and make sure you have room to react to what the others are doing. Then you have to watch your mirrors and listen to the sounds around you to get a sense of where everyone is. And finally, just don't get too greedy. Just because a gap exists doesn't always mean you should go for it.
Off the back of a fantastic qualifying session, it's time to see how our starting grid looks for today's race. A fantastic effort from Charles Leclerc yesterday puts him on pole, and Valtteri Bottas will line up alongside. Looking at the rest of today's grid, we have Hamilton, Vettel, Max Verstappen, and Stroll, Perez, Sainz, Ocon, and Lando Norris, Ricciardo, Kvyat, Alexander Albon, and Gasly, Raikkonen, Giovinazzi, Kevin Magnussen, and Mick Schumacher, Russell, Latifi, Grosjean, and the captain. It's almost time for the lights to go out, so let's head down to the track and get this Grand Prix underway.
So, welcome to the Russian Grand Prix, a wet Russian Grand Prix, which is going to make this race a little bit more exciting than what a normal Russian Grand Prix is. Normally one of those tracks that's just very dull, and there's no, it's a hard track to find flow around, and it just, there's no change in there's no elevation in the track, I'm trying to say. Also, I took some grid penalties for this race, because 19th, I'm only going to drop to the back row instead of being on the second last row. It's, for me, it wasn't a big deal to take a couple of positions pain here in the Grand Prix. So that's my reasoning there, as we now line up here for the Russian Grand Prix, and that means I can use these engine components for the rest of the season. So here we go, 5 red lights here in Russia, and let's go for the Russian Grand Prix. And we don't get the best start here compared to the AI in these wet weather conditions, as now we'll follow Latifi and Grosjean with everybody, the whole pack, into turn 1, and we're going to go down the inside, trying to just not make contact. We'll go down the inside of a few cars, including our teammate. We almost hit Magnussen. Schumacher goes back around there outside, and so does Russell up our inside. Now here comes Grosjean, in the arse. He's passed us by the looks of it, and I'm trying to hold as much pace or line around the outside as possible. I'm able to go back down the inside of Grosjean. I'm not brave enough to put my front wing at risk there against my teammate. So we back out of that move, and we're up to 20th place here. So this is what I wanted, by upping the difficulty, to have a bit more of a challenge compared to this AI. To be fair, our drive pace, it wasn't looking too bad. I didn't get the best out of the car in qualifying, so I think it could be a little bit more promising. So yeah, we'll see how it goes in a wet race. It's the first wet race. Oh no, we had a wet race earlier in the year at the Netherlands, but that was a dry to wet race. So this is a wet to, it could be dry for the end of the Grand Prix. So it's a wet to dry, but mostly a wet race. So that's what we should be looking forward to. Now, can we do anything about our teammate Schumacher ahead? For now, in this third sector, probably not going to be able to, unless we can get a cracking exit out of here. But despite, not a bad exit actually, we're not close enough to make a dive into the penultimate corner, as Sebastian Vettel leads here on the opening lap in Russia. So that's a good sign for him as we take out that bollard with a bit of an early turn in. But now we'll see if we can do anything. We're not close enough to do anything on this lap. We'll now move into the race a little bit. It's now lap 6, and I have yet to be able to get past Schumacher. We've been gapping Grosjean and not Grosjean, Latifi behind. Grosjean's still directly behind, but Russell can't keep up with the other cars ahead. Mick hasn't been able to get past at all, so now I'm trying to get past Mick so I can get past Russell, because Russell doesn't have the pace, and we're quite a way back behind by a team, but we're going to send it up the inside, and he leaves us just enough space on the inside. Now we're going to try and sweep around the outside here as a left-hander, as Bottas now sets the fastest lap of the Grand Prix, but we're once again side by side with our teammate. We leave him space, and just enough space for us to both get through, and we take 19th place off our teammates' hands. And now move a couple of laps later, and we're right behind George Russell, and we just haven't found a way past yet. But now this looks like a really good opportunity down the main straight with the overtake button enabled, and we're getting a good slipstream here on Russell. There's no DRS to help, but we're going to dive it down the inside. We've got a lot more confidence than the Williams driver, and we get that stopped for the corner nicely and move into 18th place. Now coming to lap 13 here, we've pulled away from Russell by a good amount, but the guys ahead are coming in for another set of intermediate tyres, and I'm in a bid to make up time. I'm going to stick out and wait for this rain to stop. Before you can see we got Perez behind us now, but who's on a fresh set of inters, as well as Daniel Ricciardo. But you can see the rest of the field in that didn't want a double stacker in, and you can see we've moved up to P6 here by staying out. It's only the top 5 that are able to maintain their position, and only Albon's only not in top 3 driver. You can see though we almost threw it into the barrier there, and Perez sweeps around the outside of us through turn 4 and gets past us. So now that's Perez ahead of us. There's now moved to lap 17, and you can see the rain's getting a lot lighter. There's a bit more of a clearer, drier line. I'm trying to use the water from the other parts of the track, but you can see we're struggling here, and we've got Ricciardo right behind us. Is he going to make a move into turn 6? He's not close enough this time around, but he's just throwing his front wing there, having a little bit of a nibble, is Daniel Ricciardo, as Perez has gapped us quite easily on the fresher intermediate tyres, better rubber, and we're still just struggling to maintain the pace of the other guys, as you'd expect, as they are on much better tyres and are in better cars. You can see struggling to go hold the line through turn 4, and Ricciardo easily takes away 7th place from us, so that's a little bit frustrating, that is, as now we've come here to the lap 20, and you can see Ricciardo's gapped us quite easily, and he's actually closing up the Perez quite quickly as Daniel Ricciardo, so he's got some pace in this race. As now we're going to come in for a stop, and we're going to come in and put the dry tyres on. The track looks pretty dry to the naked eye, so we're going to come in, put on the soft tyres, and hopefully we can gain a lot of time compared to everybody else with an undercut of some sort. And it genuinely looks dry, and it looks like the dry tyre could be the faster tyre, so hopefully this is a decision that will pay off for us. You can see the tyre where we had on those intermediate tyres, we did not have much left on them, and we're able to get on some dry tyres now and see what we can do on these tyres. You can see we're going to come out well and truly ahead of Russell, Schumacher and that lot. We're a little bit away from Giovinazzi, so we're kind of on our own, which is going to give us a good feel for the track as we come out first braking zone. You can see the grip's just not quite there yet, so we might take a lap or two to get these tyres fired up. We'll see how we go. You can see through turn 4, can't quite go full throttle yet, so could take a little bit. As you can see the apex speed, but it's not that bad. It's not that much slower than the intermediate tyres. As you can see, DRS now enabled here at the end of the lap, so we'll see. I think a lap on these tyres, that they should be a little bit better now. And you can see going purple in the first and second sector here on lap 22, and we're going to go purple and set the fastest lap of the Grand Prix. So the dry tyre is definitely the fastest tyre right now. You can see a whole bunch of cars in the lane, and we are going to be behind Ricciardo and Perez, still ahead of Norris. So we're in 9th place. So we haven't gained on Ricciardo. We have gained a little bit of time on Ricciardo and Perez, but maybe I thought it was going to be a huge and massive gain, but it's not that big, as Ocon's in the pits, and we now move up to 8th place. So that's good for us, and hopefully we can continue this momentum, as Norris is actually closing into the back of us here on the last lap of the Grand Prix. Will he make a run at us here down the back straight into turn 12? as Valtteri Bottas comes across the line, sets the fastest lap of the Grand Prix to win once again for Valtteri Bottas. What a season he's putting together here in 2020. But we hold off Lando Norris there, and now we've got a few corners left, and we will be home and dry in 8th place as we have a big slide there actually. But we managed to hold on as we come through the penultimate corner here in Sochi to now through the final corner to take 8th place here in Russia.
The Mercedes team pulled out a fantastic performance today. They should be proud. Anthony Davidson, how do you think they were able to set themselves apart today?
I think a large part of the result comes down to temperament. They were able to keep their heads when everyone around them was losing theirs, and that's allowed them to get the best out of the car, to maximise the strategy, and to stay out of trouble.
And I can see the drivers starting to approach the podium for the victory celebrations. A real team victory today. Everybody played their part. Congratulations then to Mercedes, your race winners today. This round of the World Championship, here's how things look in the drivers' table. More points for Valtteri Bottas, further solidifying his lead at the top of the table. Some amazing talents out on the track today, but Anthony, who would you pick as your driver of the day?
I have to give it to the captain. That was a commanding performance today. Very impressive indeed.
It's time to check out the constructors' standings. Mercedes continue to extend their lead. It's been an absolutely wild weekend of Formula One action. I can't wait to see what's next.
So Bottas wins the Grand Prix with Leclerc second, Vettel third, Verstappen fourth, Hamilton not getting the best of the conditions here and finishing in 5th place, which is disappointing for him. With Ricciardo actually beating Perez to 6th place, which I think was pretty impressive considering I think the Racing Point is a better car. Ricciardo just putting in a really solid performance and a really good drive. You can see we are 10th place currently in the driver standings. Valtteri Bottas has that healthy lead up front. He just extended the margin back out. Whatever he lost at Singapore, he gained here and more. As we're sitting 7th in the constructor standings, which I think is, with only us scoring, is not a bad effort whatsoever. I think we're going to need a teammate to help us to catch up to the guys like Renault and Racing Point. Also, our start to the season wasn't as strong as our second half of the season has been so far. So we've scored a lot of points since the Hungarian Grand Prix. So that's really been helping us here climb back up the standings. As you can see, as a claim level 12 now, not bad. The money-wise, we're still in the positive. We gained a little bit of money, lost a bit of money through the damage through the weekend, which isn't ideal. But we're sitting at 4.3 million currently in the bank. So we'll be able to make more facility upgrades pretty soon. But yeah, our thoughts on the race, to come away with 8 points is really, really positive. A really good strategy by ourselves there to go from intermediates to dry tyres, and it really helped us out in terms of gaining a lot of positions, and to score 4 points, where after maybe the qualifying you don't expect to score 4 points. It's a positive. So we'll try and 5 races in a row, whatever it is. We've scored points in now, so I think that's the 5th race in a row. So, yeah, that's brilliant work by able to develop the car enough to where we can score points on a consistent basis. So hopefully we just have a teammate that can help us. I'm not sure if I'm going to be what we're going to do in terms of a teammate next year, but you can see a bit of info there from Carl. But I believe there could be a regulation change coming. It hasn't been announced yet, but Carl has mentioned some sort of regulation being changed. But we just don't know what's coming, going to be different yet. We're not sure. So hopefully something does come. But yeah, like I said, not sure what that could be. So yeah, we'll move forward now to the Japanese Grand Prix, which has been one of the best tracks for the AI in the past. I don't know how to feel about this Grand Prix coming up, so I don't think it's going to suit myself. So, but we'll see how it goes. It could be a lot different. Obviously, that good news is that bump out of the last corner has been dealt with. So, yeah, hopefully we can avoid that. You can see here we've got up to that $5 million, so we're going to purchase level 2 on the quality control there for the chassis to hopefully help build this chassis up stronger. But yeah, just I think that's the most important, is to make sure the parts don't fail. We're going to save money in the long term. But anyway, guys, I hope you enjoyed today's episode. If you did, please leave a like. Subscribe to the channel if you're new and want to see plenty more F1 2020 content. I will do my best to get more content out as quickly as I can. So until the next episode, which will be for the Japanese Grand Prix, until then, I'll see you guys next time. Goodbye.